Ms. Cairns, you are the supervisor for the Acland family, is that correct?
That is correct.
Who is the former worker was Sydney Lee. Who is the new worker?
The new worker's name is Faith.
Okay, but she's not present today?
She is not present, but her supervisor is present for her.
Okay. All right, so you're getting her up to speed, I would imagine?
Yes, we had a case transfer last week, I believe on the 14th or 15th, to review case history, and I will continue to be at the agency and provide support to the new caseworker as necessary.
Has this caseworker change affected services to the family in any way?
It has not.
Let's see, did your agency prepare and provide a case service plan? It was by Sydney Lee, report date July 2, 2025, along with that honorable judge report, I believe.
That is correct.
I'd ask that that be marked as Exhibit 1 and move for the admission of that, please.
Any objection?
No objection.
No objection.
It's admitted.
Thank you. We have an employment, it says Christat, CRL. It's an employment drop that Ms. Acland did. And then we have a number of forensic fluid drops for her. 612, 51, 430, 417, 416, all 2025. I'd ask that that be marked as Exhibit 2, move for the admission of that.
Any objection?
No objection.
No objection.
All right, it's admitted.
As Exhibit 3, we have a DAB St. John's report regarding younger ZA, completed June 3, 2025. I'd ask that that be marked as Exhibit 3 and move for the admission of that.
Any objection?
No objection.
None, Your Honor.
And lastly, as proposed Exhibit 4, I have a lease that between Mariah Acland and Stephen Flores. Mine is not signed or dated, but it's the outline of the residential lease agreement. It's my understanding a signed copy exists, but just to get the information in there, I'd ask that that be marked as Exhibit 4 and move for the admission of that.
Any objection?
No objection.
All right, it's admitted for that purpose.
Thank you. Ms. Cairns, let's start with the children. The older ZA just turned 8 last week. Okay, how's he doing?
He's doing really well, continues to remain up to date on all medical and dental appointments. ZA finished school. He did very well. He will be attending the Coit Creative Arts Academy through GRPS in the fall, which he appears excited to participate in. I think it'll be a really great program for him. He is currently on the wait list for counseling through Arbor Circle. The caregiver has been plans to look into counseling through school when he returns in the fall, but he continues to be doing very well, well bonded to his siblings, doing very well in the foster home. There's no concerns.
And what is he doing in the summer? Does he have, is he attending school? Does he go to daycare?
He is enrolled in a summer program that has reportedly gone well. I believe, I don't believe that any concerns have been reported regarding this.
All right, and then the younger ZA, she is 6. How's she doing?
Continues to be doing very well, up to date on medical and dental appointments. She will also be participating in the Coit Creative Arts program through GRPS in the fall. She's also enrolled in a summer program. During the last reporting period, she received an autism diagnosis, so she is participating, or she's on the wait list to participate in ABA services through DAB, Lodge at St. John. An intake occurred on 5/21. There's currently a wait list. However, the service provider meets monthly with ZA as well as the relative caregiver, just as a check-in to make sure she has everything she needs. She does seem to be doing pretty well, but I think she will benefit from more intensive ABA services once she's off of the wait list. She has had some behaviors throughout this reporting period. She seems to struggle with a lack of structure. I think this has especially become present in the summer when she's not on a more regular and consistent schedule. She has some difficulty leaving parenting times. She does have some meltdowns, but overall, she seems to be doing very well. Caregiver has not expressed any concerns to me. She appears well bonded to her siblings and very comfortable in the foster home.
And this DAB St. John's report that we admitted was an initial type service plan, but she's still technically on the wait list. Is that right?
That is correct.
Okay. Let's see. Next would be the older SA. He's 5. How's he doing?
He continues to be doing well. He is up to date on all medical and dental appointments. In the fall, he will begin a Spanish immersion Head Start program through GRPS. He is currently, well, he was engaging in counseling services at his school, but this was terminated due to it no longer being necessary for him. He is a very quiet kiddo, so I think that's why services had ended, but those will be resumed if necessary. He will be participating in speech therapy in the fall, which I feel will be a positive service for him to participate in. He has not been engaging in the virtual parenting times with Mr. Acland. Those have occurred a few times within this reporting period, and the older SA consistently is not very engaged in those parenting times. It's unclear why. He tends during parenting times with Miss Acland to be pretty shy and reserved, plays by himself. But I think this could just be his personality. So nothing too concerning at this point in time, but will continue to be monitored and additional services will be provided if necessary. But very well bonded to caregiver, very well bonded to siblings. No
Okay.
significant concerns.
All the kids aren't they bonded to the caregiver and their siblings?
Yes.
And then younger SA, she's 4. How's she doing?
Very well up to date on all medical and dental appointments. She will also be participating in the Spanish Immersion Head Start program. She is participating in counseling through school biweekly as of right now. So that is what she's doing through the summer. The school continues, so she's still going to school there and doing the counseling. She's doing pretty well. She sometimes refuses to leave her parenting times and has some difficulty leaving school. But overall, she's doing very well.
We don't have the quietness problem with her, right?
No, do not. She
Okay.
is full of personality.
All right. EA, he's 2.5. How's he doing?
Very well up to date on all medical and dental appointments. He will also be participating in the Spanish Immersion Head Start program with his siblings, and he is also on the wait list for counseling at school. He is doing very well.
Okay. And he's not missing any meals. He's very, very, what do I want to say? Kind of, I don't want to say large, but he looks big for his age, tall.
Yes, he does, but he seems very healthy. No concerns have been reported by the his doctor, so nothing to follow up on at this point. But yeah, he's doing very well.
Okay, so all the kids are doing well?
That is, yes, that's correct.
Okay. Well, let's start with Mr. Acland. Is he still living in Kentucky?
He is still living in Kentucky.
Okay, and how much contact does he have with the agency?
He said very minimal engagement with the agency. Based on conversation with a previous caseworker, she will reach out to him, does not hear back from him. I don't believe virtual home visits were occurring throughout this reporting period due to his lack of engagement with the agency. Services have been offered that he did not take advantage of. We were informed during this reporting period that he has new housing, but we haven't received further verification of where he is currently living. We just know that he's continuing to live in Kentucky.
Do you know if he's participating in any other services in Kentucky, like counseling or substance use, or anything like that?
No, not to our knowledge. He was informed that the agency is able to help locate counseling services for him, although the agency is unable to provide funding for that. We were never informed of him seeking services or finding a service provider. He was provided with a parenting class through MSU Extension parenting class that he indicated he believed he had signed up for. And then this was verified with the service provider who had indicated that Mr. Acland had not registered, nor has he been participating in any of their classes.
So that the parenting time, the Zoom parenting times, those were facilitated directly through the caregiver when he does those. Is that right?
That is correct. And I believe they're phone calls.
Okay.
Instead of like a video, but yes, they're
okay.
facilitated by the caregiver.
Which, there's not a lot of bonding that can happen with a phone call with little children. Would you agree with me?
Yes, I would agree.
Also, the agency provided him funding for him to come to Michigan. Is that right?
That is correct.
Did he utilize that? Did he come here?
No, he has not come here. Mr. Acland continues to indicate that he hasn't received the funding or the packet of information that's been sent. It's been sent multiple times now, and he continues to indicate that he has not received it.
Okay. And is he still only putative father for elder ZA?
That is correct.
Okay, so we've tried to get an affidavit of parentage down to him. He's done nothing to assist with that, right?
That is correct. We actually had a previous caseworker, Madison Sonnenfeld, was in Kentucky and tried to locate Mr. Acland while she was in Kentucky to have him sign, and he would not agree to meet with her. So we have not been able to have that signed by Mr. Acland.
Okay, and if the children were returned to his care right now, it doesn't sound like you have a good read on where he's at in terms of housing, employment, any of that, right?
Yes, that is correct.
Would all 5 children be at a substantial risk of care if they were returned to him today?
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, that's based on what we know and what, there's so many things we don't know about him, right?
Correct.
And he's not even legal father for the oldest child, correct?
Correct.
Okay, let's talk about Mrs. Acland. She continues to reside in the area. Where's she at exactly now?
During this reporting period, Mrs. Acland informed the caseworker that she was living in Fowler, Michigan, right outside of Lansing. Mrs. Acland indicated that she was living alone, but verification has not been received that she's the only one living in the home. And we have reason to believe that she potentially does have roommates in the home that we have not been able to evaluate.
Is this the premises of this lease that was admitted as Exhibit 4?
Yes,
Okay, and is the landlord, is that a romantic interest of hers, friend, do we know?
we do not know.
Okay, did you get a signed copy of that from her?
No, we have not received a signed copy.
Do you know if one exists?
I do not know if one exists.
Okay. And so how far is Fowler, Michigan from Grand Rapids?
I believe Lansing is about an hour, a little over an hour from here, and Fowler is a little bit east, I believe, of Lansing. So I would suspect probably close to an hour and a half.
Okay, I understand housing is complicated and difficult to find, but does that complicate her ability to work services with you all?
We have informed Mrs. Acland that we can seek services for her where she is currently living throughout the reporting period. She had reported living in Ionia County, and then she was then moved to the Lansing area. So she's been unable to maintain housing in a specific area long enough for us to be able to provide her services. But if Mrs. Acland continued to live in Fowler, the agency would be able to locate services for her in that area.
All right. And what other services? At the last hearing, we talked about possibly an MSU parenting class. Has she done that? Was she referred to that?
She was signed up for it. I don't believe that she had participated in it, to my understanding.
Is she employed?
She reports being employed at a factory. That is the drug screen that was included within the exhibits from Christat is the provider, I believe. So that is the only verification we have of her currently working. We have not received pay stubs or any further verification.
Have you asked her for that?
Yes, the previous caseworker asked for it, and we have never received it.
Okay. Is she provided gas cards or anything to get to Grand Rapids?
She has been offered gas cards and or a bus pass, but Mrs. Acland has not been willing to complete a budget with the agency caseworker in order to provide that transportation assistance. She has been asking her mom, the relative caregiver, for transportation assistance. The relative caregiver is also aware that the agency can provide that support to Mrs. Acland and that the caregiver is not required to provide that assistance.
Okay. And let's see, talk about her drops. She's got the one she submitted from her work, but the ones, how many has she, done and how many has she missed through your agency?
Mrs. Acland has drug screened 4 times through the agency. These occurred when the caseworker met with Mrs. Acland for their monthly home visit. Mrs. Acland was referred to randomized drug screening, although she was not able to consistently participate due to us not knowing where she was living at the time, and also reporting not having transportation. So she never participated in any of the randomized drug screens. I don't have the number off the top of my head for how many were missed, but I can certainly refer to my notes and find that for you, if that would be helpful. But Mrs. Acland tested positive 3 of the 4 times, twice for cocaine, 1 time for THC, and then she was clean for the other test. That was the test administered on 6/12/25.
I noticed in the report, Ms. Acland says she doesn't know how that cocaine was in there, maybe by using vapes of friends or something.
Yes, Mrs. Acland continues to deny the positive drug screens, including drug screens from THC.
Okay. Was there ever a discussion about a hair follicle for her?
I don't believe so, not to my recollection.
Let's see. She had some medical issues back where she cut her finger off. Have you ever been given medical documentation for that?
About 2 reporting periods ago, I did receive some verification. This was when I believe she had maybe hit her head and had a concussion, I believe. That was provided to the court, but otherwise we have not received any verification during this reporting period. Mrs. Acland informed the caseworker that she somehow hurt her jaw and her jaw was wired shut. And these are all due to domestic violence incidents, but verification has not been received of those injuries.
Okay, I'm sorry for flopping around here, but regarding her housing too, that one of your workers did go to the home and Ms. Acland was living with a stranger she met on the internet?
Yes,
Okay. And there were belongings of someone else in the home, correct?
yes.
Is this Fowler residence?
I believe so.
Okay. All right, let's see, emotional stability. She began therapy. Is she meeting with her therapist?
She is. She has been participating in virtual counseling sessions with her therapist through Arbor Circle. She had previously been participating in Arbor Circle, although she was discharged due to not consistently participating. But while she was living out of county, she was still able to participate virtually.
Okay, she's had fewer emotional outbursts towards agency workers?
That is true. The agency hasn't been meeting with her as frequently, so we only meet with her monthly for those home visits compared to twice a week for those for those in-person parenting times at the agency.
Was there an outburst after the last court hearing?
Mrs. Acland had contacted the relative caregiver. I can't remember exactly what she said, but it was about me, stating that she was threatening me.
Okay, in the report, it says that she hates the caseworker and wanted to slap the piss out of her.
Yes, that's what she said.
Okay, did anybody talk to her about that from your agency?
The caseworker was made informed of that. I believe she had discussed that with Mrs. Acland, but I am not able to verify that information.
There was a alleged incident where she allegedly broke into the caregiver's home while the caregiver was away.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, she denies that.
Yes, to my understanding, she does.
Okay, let's talk about parenting. Well, how much do you see significant improvement on the emotional stability? I mean, she's attending some therapy sessions, but where are we at on that?
I still have concerns with Mrs. Ackland's decision-making skills. She appeared to a parenting time on 7/14, which was one of the youth's birthdays. It was the older ZA's birthday, and she was under the influence of alcohol, noticeable by the relative caregiver. So that raises concern for decision-making skills. So she has made improvement, I would say, in her emotional stability. But again, I have concerns for her decision-making skills. The agency also has had significantly less contact with Mrs. Acland, for there to be less opportunities for that contact between us and Mrs. Acland to kind of observe her behavior.
So there was another incident at one of the children's birthday parties.
Yes, it was a parenting time at the relative caregiver's home on 7/14, celebrating the older ZA's birthday, where she was visibly under the influence of alcohol.
Okay, and similarly, younger SA, there was a explosive outburst by Ms. Acland at her birthday party, and that had to be cut short and was traumatic for the kids. Is that right?
That is correct.
Did the caregiver report to you that older ZA that was having the birthday party didn't want his mom to come because he didn't want the same thing to happen?
Sorry to interrupt. I don't know.
Okay. Let's talk about parenting skills. You've talked about like how many has she attended? Are they at the agency, at the caregiver's home? Where are they?
Due to Mrs. Acland living out of county, the relative caregiver indicated that she would be willing to supervise parenting times again at her home. During this reporting period, there were 13 parenting times that had occurred. There were a number that were virtual, about 4 that were virtual due to the relative caregiver being out of town, as well as that would have occurred twice. And then there were 2 instances of Mrs. Acland requesting that the parenting time be virtual. They do seem to be going better than they were when they were at the agency. There was an incident on 4/30/25 of Mrs. Acland asking the relative caregiver to step in for intervention due to the children being escalated and just not being able to control the situation. And then there was the incident on the older ZA's birthday of appearing under the influence of alcohol. So these parenting times are occurring over the weekends. They are extended visits. Mrs. Acland is able to have 2 visits a week with her children because of the ages of the children. But due to the transportation required, the relative caregiver and Mrs. Acland have agreed to do more extended parenting time. So these are between like 3 and 4 hours long.
But some of these parenting times have been 15 minutes or less.
Yes, the virtual parenting times are between like 5 and 10 minutes typically, because the youth are distracted, not super engaged.
For
so
5
those
kids. For
Yes.
5 kids. Okay.
Yes.
But that is not a rule of the agency. That's the best she can do. Ms.
Yes.
Acland can do.
Yes.
Okay, so how would you quantify the improvements we have with parenting as one of the main barriers here?
I would say that Mrs. Acland's parenting time has remained consistent. I don't believe that there's been significant improvement in her parenting skills. She has not had as many outbursts as she has had previously, but she's not consistently bringing food or items for the children. She appears very overwhelmed during parenting times. When I was her caseworker, she had indicated to me that it's very hard to meet the needs of the kids during visits. I have concern for Mrs. Acland's ability to parent all 5 children completely independently without the support of another adult.
Is it fair to say that, oh, by the way, was a referral ever made for domestic violence based on this incident she had in a new relationship with losing her finger and all that kind of stuff?
When I was the caseworker, I had discussed with her the CAC. Oh, I'm sorry. That's yes, the CAC, which provides some DV counseling. But Mrs. Acland never took advantage of that service. So I don't believe that any specific DV services are being provided to Mrs. Acland, although I do believe the previous caseworker spoke with the therapist through Arbor Circle to see if they could provide some DV counseling.
Okay, so just to summarize, substance abuse, she's missed all the random tests. Progress 4.
Yes.
Mental health, she's attending counseling, but continues to have some outbursts. Sounds like there's maybe some improvement, but not a lot.
Yes, that would be correct.
And then the parenting, based on the fact that, I mean, she's moved away. She's not even spending a whole lot of time with these 5 kids that all have pretty significant Some have developmental needs, all of them have emotional needs. How would what's your progress in that area?
I would rate Mrs. Acland's progress as poor due to consistently being unable to meet the youth's needs during parenting times.
Okay, if any of the children were returned home today, to Ms. Acland, would they be at a substantial risk of harm to their life, physical, mental, and emotional well-being?
Yes, they would.
Speaking as to both parents, do you believe that termination of parental rights is in their best interest?
I do.
The removal date was April 19, 2024, so we are 15 months past removal, correct?
That is correct.
And virtually no progress by the father, correct?
Correct.
And very little by the mother, correct?
Correct.
Do you believe that their placement with their grandmother caregiver allows the children to have regular opportunities to engage in age or developmentally appropriate activities?
Yes, absolutely.
Sounds like they do a lot
They do.
for that big of a group. What are your recommendations today?
It is respectfully recommended that ZA, SA, and EA remain temporary court wards under the care and supervision of the Department of Health and Human Services and Wellspring Lutheran Services, that the youth remain in their relative placement, another approved relative's home or licensed foster home as needed. All parties comply with and benefit from the parent agency treatment plan. Mr. and Mrs. Acland's parenting times remain supervised by the agency or its designee, and a termination hearing be scheduled.
Specifically regarding the recommendation for termination, have your agency and the caregiver explored legal guardianship of the children?
Yes, I have spoken with the caregiver right after the last permanency planning hearing, and the relative caregiver indicated that she would not be interested in pursuing guardianship due to the relationship that she has with Mrs. Acland being not very healthy and just a very extensive history with Mrs. Acland, and adoption will provide more permanency to the youth. And so that the caregiver had indicated that she would be willing to pursue adoption. She would not be willing to pursue guardianship.
Are the children old enough to express what they want, or are they too young at this point?
I would say that they're too young.
Okay, but you've been able to observe the bonding between the caregiver and all 5 children?
Yes, I have.
Okay, how would you describe their bonding to her?
They have a great bond. After parenting times at the agency, the kids would excitedly run out to the relative caregiver, calling her grandma, giving her a big hug. Always appear very well bonded. I don't know if I've ever really seen a relationship like these kiddos have with their grandma. So they have a great bond with each other and seems like a great family dynamic.
And in your opinion, does Ms. Kendrick, the caregiver, does she attempt to facilitate the continuing relationship of the children with both their mother and their father?
Yes, she does.
Okay. She wants to be granny, not mom necessarily, right?
Yes, yeah, but she is willing to fill that role if reunification can't be pursued.
Okay, thank you. Nothing further.
Thank you. Ms. Colletti.
Thank you. Ms. Cairns, first, Faith will be the 4th worker.
I believe Faith would potentially be the 5th worker, if my memory serves me well.
But approximately every 3 months we get a new worker.
Give or take, I suppose, but sure, yes.
And isn't it true that Ms. Acland has made, in the report it says partial progress, but she's made more than just partial progress and I'll give you an example. She's got a recovery coach, correct?
She does, through Arbor Circle.
A counselor that she's been attending regularly.
Yes, through Arbor Circle.
She has housing.
Yes, however, we haven't been able to deem that safe or appropriate at this point in time. Her housing's unknown to us at this point.
Because you haven't seen it yet?
I believe the previous caseworker was able to see the home, but because we don't know who's living in the home, we haven't been able to get clearances on that individual So we haven't been able to deem that appropriate for that reason.
Okay, but you could still evaluate and determine if it's appropriate if you get all the clearances, correct?
Yes, we could do that.
And she reports it's a 5-bedroom house and it's affordable to her. It's an $800 rent payment.
Yes, that's my understanding.
And she's got a job and a car.
She has a job. We have not been able to receive further verification other than that one drug screen that was a couple of months ago now. And then, yeah, she has indicated that she has a car, but I don't believe, I don't know the state of the car.
But she's been out of counties, I believe, since March, correct?
Yes,
And isn't it true that she asked for the screens to be moved or available where she's living as opposed to doing the randomized screens here?
yes, and we referred her to randomized screening in Ionia County, and she did not, for a month that she was referred, and she did not participate in any of those drug screens.
Isn't it true you just referred randomized screening to Lansing, like this past week or so?
From 3/12 to 4/16, she was referred to randomized screening in Ionia, and she did not participate in any of those. And then we did not know where she was living for some time, so we weren't able to re-refer her.
Isn't it true that in May she has to be referred to a Lansing area where she was living? You're saying
Yes,
you're not
although we didn't know exactly where she was living within Lansing, so we didn't know which county to provide the randomized drug screening to because we didn't know exactly where she was living.
But the point is she asked, correct? And she wanted to do the screens, correct?
Yes,
So she's been really participating and seeking services on her own, correct?
in terms of substance use and screening, yes, although her participation was not consistent when she was referred to randomized screening.
Okay, but she's making more progress than you're reporting. My point is that she now has clean screens, that she is working, she's visiting the kids, correct?
She said 2 clean screens. She's denying her positive drug screens, indicating that she isn't testing positive for those substances, which raises concern for the agency that she's denying those drug screens. So I would not say that she has made significant progress in this area.
Okay. When you said that you don't think she's living alone, did she report she lives alone?
She reported to the caseworker that she was living alone. However, the caregiver had indicated believing that she had a roommate.
Okay. Her caregiver also reported that she was drunk on S.A.'s birthday. And is that verified?
We were not able to verify because we were not there to administer a drug screen due to it being over the weekend, and the relative caregiver can't administer a drug screen.
So if Ms. Kendra says one thing and Ms. Acland says another, is the default just to believe Ms. Kendra?
If Mrs. Acland appeared under the influence of substances, I've seen her under the influence of substances. It was obviously very clear to the relative caregiver to the point where a parenting time had to be ended because of that. So not to say that we wouldn't believe Mrs. Acland, but as indicated in the report in my previous testimony, there's other person's belongings in Mrs. Ackland's home, which again raises concern that she's living with someone else.
Did you ask her about that? Did you ask her if she's just storing those objects for a friend?
I was not involved in those conversations. That would be the previous caseworker who would have had that conversation with her.
Okay, so you're making assumptions based without asking the follow-up questions or the previous caseworkers.
I'm making a statement based on what has been reported to me.
Okay. With regard to her parenting time, visits are going better with her mother supervising, aren't they?
Yes,
And she is there and able to meet the children's needs for those extended periods, correct?
yes. However, she has asked for intervention on a couple of occasions from the caregiver to provide some assistance.
Okay, and when the visits were virtual and you said that she stopped them after 15 minutes, isn't it true in your experience that with these young children, it's hard to engage children virtually in front of a screen for that long?
I suppose, however, with 5 children, asking simple questions, how was your day? What did you do today? How was school? With 5 children, I would have to imagine that a conversation would last longer than 5 minutes if Mrs. Acland was spending individual time with each of the children.
You weren't present to witness that, were you?
No, I was not. The relative caregiver was.
I mean, you said she was overwhelmed with her during the parenting time. Who saw that?
I did. I provided transportation after a parenting time with Mrs. Acland. This was within the last reporting period. But all of the kiddos were high energy and just going every which direction. I had noticed during the parenting time that Mrs. Acland appeared overwhelmed. She seemed to struggle maintaining composure of herself and just keeping the kids calm. And then after the parenting time, I asked Mrs. Acland how she felt it went, and she said that she had a hard time managing them, and that she didn't know what had gotten into them during that parenting time to lead them to be as,
That
kind
was
of energy.
but wasn't that approximately 3 months ago?
Yes, however, she even on 4:30 had asked for intervention from the caregiver from the caregiver due to being overwhelmed. And she has the relative caregiver at those parenting times. To my understanding, she's pretty involved. The caregiver's at least present for those parenting times and is able to step in. Whereas at the agency caseworker is not involved in parenting time. They're sitting in another room away from the parenting time to observe. So the relative caregiver seems pretty involved during these parenting times.
And you mentioned the bond between the kids and the relative caregiver, but isn't there also a very strong bond between the mother and the children?
The kids do appear excited during parenting times to see Mrs. Acland. I know the older ZA is sad when parenting times end, so there is a bond between them.
Okay. So the main thing we need to do, I mean, it's only been 15 months, not been 22 months, and the children are with a relative caregiver, correct?
That is correct.
And if the goal is adoption, if we give Ms. Acland another 3 months, that's not going to change their placement or the change. There won't be any change to the children's permanence because they're going to be either A, staying with Ms. Kendrick or going back to mother, correct?
That would be correct.
So what is the rush to ask for termination after just 15 months when she is making progress?
Mrs. Acland has not made significant progress to address all barriers. Mrs. Acland's housing has continued to change since case inception. She received an eviction notice. Her employment has not been stable since case inception. She's had multiple different jobs, has not provided verification of the different jobs. She's denying substance use, which is a concern for the agency. I have told her that I would rather her be honest about her substance use and just admit to the substance use. She continues to deny it. Mrs. Acland has made some improvement in her parenting skills, although continues to appear overwhelmed. Mrs. Acland continues to be involved in relationships where domestic violence is present to the point where she's having her jaw wired shut. I believe
I
she
want to
has
address that. Isn't it true that she told you that she had she drives a high-low and she slipped out of it, hit her jaw on the concrete floor and had her mouth wired shut? There was a work accident?
I was not informed of that, no.
Did you ask her how that happened, or did you just assume it was domestic violence?
I was not the caseworker at the time, so I don't know. I don't have the information and verification wasn't provided.
So was the prior worker assumed that was just domestic violence because she had a broken jaw and nobody asked Ms. Acland?
I can't testify on that.
Well, you're testifying that there's domestic violence, but obviously you don't know that.
But Mrs. Acland has indicated that she's had multiple injuries when her finger was cut off. The individual that she was with slammed a window on her finger. So she has had extensive, significant injuries due to being in a DV relationship. So while the jaw
But that was approximately 6 months ago, wasn't it?
I don't have a timeline. However, it appears that she continues to be in relationships where DV is present.
Okay, but you would admit that you are making assumptions because she's got a broken jaw, not because of verifying how she broke her jaw.
I'm not assuming that it was from DV. I'm just saying that she has an extensive history with that. I don't know. I was not the caseworker. I was not involved in those conversations. So I'm not assuming that it's from domestic violence, but she does have a history of having significant injuries from domestic violence related incidents.
And she was trying to get away from this person when the finger incident occurred, and you don't know anything after that if she's still in a relationship with anybody. You don't have any information, you're just making assumptions.
I'm not making assumptions, but I do not have further information.
Well, you're testifying that you think that somebody's living in her house. You testify.
Yeah, but that could be a roommate or a friend or someone else. I don't have further information on who the individual is. We have not been able to evaluate them. I don't know if the caseworker had that conversation with Mrs. Acland. I was not present for that,
A lot of unknowns, aren't there?
I suppose, but these children have also been in care for over a year and a half, and they're at an age where they need permanency. And Mrs. Acland continues to present other significant barriers that raise concern for how long that this case is going to continue to go on for if these kiddos don't have permanency at some point in time.
With regard to the DV though, isn't it true that she's getting some, that DV counseling through Arbor Circle?
I had asked the caseworker reach out to the therapist through Arbor Circle to see if they would be willing to provide DV services. I have not gotten an update on whether or not that they are able to provide that service to her. And previously I had provided information through the CAC in Grand Rapids when she was living here, and that she did not take advantage of that service.
Because she wasn't living in the county, correct?
This is when she was still living in the county.
So overall, Ms. Carnes, what we have is basically, you're claiming lack of progress, but she's really made significant progress and you're just not giving her credit. I have no other questions.
All right, thank you, Mr. Adams.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Cairns, just one question regarding Mr. Acland. You testified that you sent a packet to him, or at least one of your colleagues did, to facilitate travel to Grand Rapids. When did that occur?
This funding was received through our partnership agency back in, when I received the case in August of last year. We had already had funding approved, so it was before August of 2025. I'm sorry, 2024. I apologize. That funding had been received, and it's been sent at least 2 or 3 times now to Mr. Acland.
Okay, so when that happens, person gets a letter of some sort in the mail, a packet, and that contains what?
It would obtain the amount of money that we had been able to provide Mr. Acland, instructions for how he is able to, it would be a reimbursement that we're providing him. So he would buy the flight. I don't know the amount of money that we were able to request for him, but if we were able to request $300 for him, he would pay for that ticket and we would be able to reimburse him for it. So it would include that process for how to purchase that flight to come to Grand Rapids.
Okay, so it's not a physical ticket, it's instructions on how to make arrangements, and then on how to get the money back once he makes the trip.
That is correct.
Okay. What's the last contact that you are aware of with Mr. Acland by your agency?
I do not have that off the top of my head, but if I could refer to my notes, I could find that for you.
Well, you can tell me, has it been recently? Has it been just after the last reporting period? Do you have any idea?
I believe that there's been text conversations between the previous caseworker and Mr. Acland throughout this this reporting period, but it's been very sporadic and not consistent.
Okay, understood. Okay, thank you. No further questions, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Ms. Newhouse.
Nothing further, thank you.
Okay, Ms. Colletti.
Nothing further, thank you.
All right, Ms. Newhouse, any additional witnesses?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Colletti.
No witnesses, thank you, Your Honor.
Mr. Adams.
No further witnesses or evidence, thank you.
All right, statements. Ms.
Thank you.
Newhouse.
Thank you. I got to attend older ZA's pool birthday party out in the yard. The kids were so excited, and I'm just so impressed with, how far they've come in the last 15 months in the care of their grandmother. Before, when I first met younger ZA, she wouldn't talk to me. She was not very verbal at all, and she is so chatty. Took my hand, didn't want me to leave. Had a lot of questions, including the color of my house, things that were very interesting. She's into colors. Kids were all doing great. The caregiver told me that this was ZA's second birthday party because the first one didn't go very well, and she wanted him to have a joyous birthday party. So had a second one. I guess her report was at the earlier birthday party with mother, Ms. Acland. There was discussions about termination and things that were inappropriate for the kids, and that causes the kids anxiety. I know after the last birthday party fiasco, the kids were traumatized by it. I see that they're being very well cared for, and I don't know how Ms. Kendrick does it because they have so many different appointments and things, and she works probably for her own sanity. She does amazing with these children, and she's always very firm and gentle in redirection, and it's amazing they listen to her. And they're all just thriving in her care. We have made little to no progress on the barriers that brought this case in. Oh, by the way, the father's done absolutely nothing, and we still don't, he's not done anything to help us, help him become the legal dad of older ZA, and I believe everybody agrees he's the biological father. He's done nothing to assist with that. And as far as Ms. Acland, parenting, I think, is such a huge barrier. These are 5 children that are so close in age and they have so many needs. They're so active. And I just don't see any improvement in her ability to be able to parent all 5, let alone just a couple of them. And a 15-minute phone call certainly is not going to help a whole lot. With the bonding and the discipline, things that we need to see in parenting times. I understand that housing is difficult to find. It's unfortunate that she moved to Fowler, an hour away. That just makes everything so much more difficult. And I allowed that lease to come in, but I don't know if it's signed. There's so many loose ends on her employment, housing, who's living there, things like that. I don't see a lot of improvement in finances, housing, employment, those areas too. Mental, emotional health, I'm very pleased that she's attending her appointments with her counselor. But we continue to see some emotional outbursts. There was one after the last hearing, inappropriateness at a recent visit. And then substance use, I don't think we've made any progress on that either. We had 3 cocaine positive tests this quarter. She's denying any use of that. We had the alcohol test, I guess, for work. I don't know, but that only gives you an idea of what happened that day, pretty much. We don't even know if she's still employed there. So I think the barriers she's made poor progress on, maybe a little progress on the mental emotional health in that she's meeting with her worker. And these children have a very high need for permanency. And I support heading to termination on both parents. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Colletti?
Thank you, Your Honor. I don't believe reasonable efforts have been made. We're on our 5th caseworker now. I don't think Ms. Acland is being given the credit for the progress she's made. She found housing on her own. She got counseling on her own. She did the recovery coach on her own. She asked for substance abuse tests. She has a job. She has a car. If jobs change and housing changes, that's normal, but she's always consistently been able to find a job and get housing. I think, Your Honor, another 3 months is needed to let her demonstrate that she can do it. She can be reunified. These children are with a relative, and I appreciate Ms. Kendrick. I appreciate that she's doing so much for these children. I appreciate that and I know Ms. Acland appreciates it as well. But Your Honor, this is a court of reunification, not termination. It's only been 15 months. I would respectfully request that you not authorize the termination at this time and let Ms. Acland have the time that she needs to get her children returned to her care. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Adams?
Your Honor, I would just place a general objection on the record against the termination, as I've not had any contact since the last here shortly after the last hearing with my client. So I would just place that general objection on the record. Thank you.
All right, thank you. The court finds that the lawyer guardian ad litem has complied with the statute, that returning these children, any of them, to either parent would cause a substantial risk of harm to the children's life, physical health, or mental well-being. I'm making that finding based on the lack of progress shown by the parents in this case, that these children should not be returned to either parent, that the agency should initiate proceedings to terminate parental rights to these children, again, due to the lack of progress by either parent. I am acknowledging that Ms. Acland has made some progress and that she's attending counseling, but there's so many other barriers at this point that she has not overcome. She can provide verification very easily of employment, of transportation, a signed lease, so many things that are simple to do that she's repeatedly not done. If it is true that she in fact has all of these things. That's on her, that's not on the agency. So I will find that reasonable efforts have been made to preserve and reunify the family, make it possible for these children to safely return home, that those reasonable efforts for reunification be continued, that in accordance with the statute, progress towards alleviating or mitigating the conditions that cause these children to be placed to remain in temporary foster care has not been made by either parent, that the children's continued placement is necessary and appropriate, is meeting their needs. And it is very good to hear that these kids are all doing well. And I had 4 children myself, and I recognize the amount of work that is. And we've got 5 children in this case, all with significant needs, and we have a single foster parent here that's doing all the work. So I just want to make sure that the court recognizes how much work that is, and frankly, how much work it would be for these children to be returned to Ms. Acland. That the needs of each of these children can be met in a foster family home. That reasonable efforts have been made to finalize the court-approved permanency plan of return to a parent for each of these children. That permanency planning goal no longer is appropriate and should be a concurrent goal of reunification and adoption. What that means is that we'll be working towards both goals together. That the department, foster home, or institutional placement has followed the reasonable and prudent parenting standard, and that the children have had regular opportunities to engage in age or developmentally appropriate activities. The siblings are in joint placement, which is another positive in this case. The court orders that the children continue in the protective and temporary custody of the court, continue their placement with the Department for Care and Supervision. That the adjudicated respondents, Mr. Acland and Ms. Acland, comply with and benefit from the case service plan. That parenting time of both parents is at the discretion of the agency to allow unsupervised or supervised parenting time by its designee. Continue the attorneys in this matter, and I am seeing that the court did order that a CASA be appointed to this case. Has anyone heard anything about that? All right, the court will follow up with that. Ms. Gibson, do we have a date for the termination hearing?
Yes, Your Honor, October 8th from 9 to 12. And do you want that by Zoom or in person?
In person. All right. And we are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
That is my birthday. I really don't want to have a termination date on my birthday. Please.
Well, we're hoping you're getting another 3 months to work on this.
Okay.
But we can look. Ms. Gibson, do we have another date?
Yes, October 7th from 2 to 5.
Any conflicts with that date or time?
No.
Second.
All right. Thank you. We're adjourned.
Thank you, Your Honor.